are writing marketing and sales copy, where do you find new big ideas for your promotions? Where do you find those ideas that make your copy feel fresh and exciting and new and relevant to your market and feel like it's something that your prospect is discovering that they've never seen before? That's the question for today's issue. It comes out of a subscriber question. So the subscriber asked, Roy, one thing I've discovered is that the copywriters who make it think for themselves while they rely on advice from others. They are also able to come up with big ideas and the necessary curiosity to grab the attention of their ideal clients. Would there be a way to let newer copywriters know it's okay to test their new ideas and not get so bogged down with obsessing over swipe files? Also, what was your inspiration and big ideas for the Titans event sales letter? Thanks, Lee. So, yeah, there's a lot there. Number one, I really appreciate that this person seems to come from a place of knowledge and experience in direct response, that it's not just about like who can swipe whatever, like proven at this point is kind of like worn out. Who can swipe this overused ad or sales letter and use it in their to like shoehorn in their own message, right? That is how terrible copy gets written. That's how copy that people who are novices and are taught by like bad gurus to write copy. That's how they write copy. And the reality is that you pretty much never see copy like that really resonate with the market. You never see copy like that create a gigantic winner. What you see is copy that brings those new ideas where it says, would there be a way to let newer copywriters know it's okay to test their new ideas and not get so bogged down with obsessing over swipe files? Yes, it's okay to test new ideas. It's actually good. It's a great thing to test new ideas. Now, there is a little bit of a risk, which you can mitigate. There's a risk to trying to be brand new, to be completely fresh, whatever. Because if you are just trying to be different for difference sake, then you are much more likely to just kind of fall flat on your face. Now, there is a way to shortcut that, and we'll get to that in a minute. But in terms of it being okay to test new ideas, absolutely. So in my high velocity copywriting program, which I'll include a link with this video, I actually teach something called the UPSEEN test, and UPSEEN. It's an acronym, and it stands for 6 different things that make a powerful big idea actually be powerful. And 2 of them in there, U and N, bookending the rest, are unique and new. And good big ideas feel unique and new. And if you're just trying to like copy who else wants to write another great headline, even if your market is not copywriters, they've probably seen that before. And it hits in a way where it is less likely to feel unique and new, even if you are even if the idea behind it is unique and new. If you are just overtly trying to swipe things because you've heard that they work before and you've heard that swiping things is actually how you write good copy, you are much less likely to trigger that part of your prospect's brain that says, ooh, this is interesting and new and unique and something that I've never seen before, even just by shoehorning in the words. So you're much better off in terms of positioning and copy elements and all of that by trying to come up with something that maybe speaks to the same deep psychology, which is how I teach so much of this stuff, speaks to the same deep psychology, speaks to the same motivation, speaks to the same inspiration, but does not feel just like something every other copywriter has written. And the way that you find this, unfortunately, the way that you find new big ideas is with hard work. Now, it doesn't actually have to be that hard. Once you get good at knowing what you're looking for, it's still work, but it's not that hard. So the way that you find this is through research. You're just trying to discover things that capture your attention, and you feel like, oh, this is new, this is unique, this is something I've never seen before. And especially if you've been in the market for a while and you've seen everything, you've seen all the ads that all of your prospects have seen over and over again, and you're paying attention. Yeah, at some point you're going to stumble on something and you're going to say, oh, this is unique, this is different, this is something I haven't seen before. I don't see other people promoting this aspect of whatever it is that we do, right? So there's research. There are interviews and conversations, which is a huge thing for me. Like, I love And I'm frankly, one of my big advantages as a copywriter is that I really embrace this process of like sitting down for an interview with the product creator, with the editor of any publication, with the creator of any system, with whatever it is, like whatever the product is, like the people behind it. I love to sit down with them, and I love to get as many stories out of them as possible. I love to have them answer questions in their own words. I love to have them just share with me as much as they can, and I record that, and then I get it transcribed automatically. Like I have Zoom hooked up to Otter.ai, and I get it transcribed automatically so that it gets put into a document for me so that I can just, play with their words instead of having to come up with it on my own. But I'm looking for like that one idea that just jumps out at me. And I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. That's a compelling story. That's cool. And you find big ideas just by digging and digging and digging and digging. And then the third way that can work is just by renaming. Michael Masterson / Mark Ford teaches this as nominalization. Basically, it's putting a new name, giving a new title to something that exists in the marketplace. And the more sophisticated or educated or overexposed to all of these concepts that your marketplace is, the more likely that this is the strategy that you're going to have to lean on. That, okay, I've gone through and I've tried to find all the interesting, unique, big ideas here, and I can't get to one. So eventually I get to the point where I just have to say, okay, well, if I can't get to one, how can I make what is old new again? How can I create a brand new name, nominalization, system name, whatever out of that? And still you want it to feel unique and interesting and different, right? And that's how you tell the story, and that's how you position it. And you can tell the story of discovery of this unique, interesting thing, right? But by giving it this new name, it all of a sudden feels unique and new, even if it is something that is familiar. And frankly, many of the best solutions to people's problems, if a good product is a solution to somebody's problem, many of the best solutions to products are things that already exist in the marketplace, but people don't get excited about them. And so the mere act of naming it something different, of giving it a different name, which is what nominalization means, right? The mere act of giving it a name that is different than what they've seen before can get somebody reinterested into in an opportunity that they weren't necessarily paying attention to before. And speaking of stories, I talked about how much I love going into interviews and conversations and pulling stories out. Like, I teach an entire story selling masterclass. It's a foundation in my BTMS Insiders training. It's one of the big trainings that you get access to when you sign up for membership. And the way that I teach it, again, it's all about the underlying structure and psychology. It's not about superficial details and swipeable language of telling this story. It's about the frameworks and templates, not the swipes. And so what you'll find is that the incredible, the discovery story of somebody discovering something, there are going to be milestones that somebody passes on their way to discovery. And those milestones that they pass on the way to discovery are consistent pretty much no matter what the product or service is, right? And if you can follow that, if you can follow the framework of that story, it's going to fit in, but at the same time, it's going to feel new. And so you're not bogged down and obsessed with swipe files, again, to Lee's question here, but you're still using a tool, a framework, a template that works. And so you get all the benefit of the swipe file without feeling like it's another Me Too promotion, right? And then, so get familiar with the story types. I have well over a dozen different story types in there. And if you get familiar with them and how they fit in selling, then you can very easily kind of recognize as you're, let's say, doing an interview or you're doing your research or whatever, you recognize, okay, this really fits to this story type, and I can make sure that I can tell it in a way that supports the sale in the best way. And specific to stories in the Story Selling Masterclass, I actually teach that there's 3 pillars, and only one is the stories. So first off, actually, you need to think about how the story supports the character. And so the stories you tell support the character of the storyteller and the character of the student, of the listener. And you have to figure out how your character building is determined by the stories you tell. And then the stories, again, I said there's over a dozen templates in there, and how they all contribute and how they actually can convey certain selling propositions, right? And then there's the selling part. So 3 pillars: character, story, and selling. When you actually get to the selling part, you have to make sure you're not telling stories for storytelling's sake, just like you don't swipe copy for swiping's sake. Every story that you include has to speak to the like bigger picture of, my job here is to show this prospect that I have a solution to the problem, the challenge that they're facing. I can help them seize an opportunity that's in front of them. And I'm going to walk them through the decision-making process, the buying process that leads to purchasing my product or service. And the storytelling is designed first and foremost to do that. And that's why you can't forget any one of these 3 pillars, or your story selling falls apart. And so what story serves your sales message? It creates this attractive character of somebody who's there to help them be the hero of their own story, right? But what story connects you to them, to the product or service, to the outcome that's going to be achieved through the sale? Like, what story is going to do that? And so, like, all of this, again, we're all feeding into this idea of like, where do you find new big ideas? Primarily, it's in the story, right? There's going to be some research. There's going to be some stories that come out of interviews and conversations. There's going to be some stories that you can apply to the nominalization, but it comes out of the story, which leads me to Lee's kind of last point. Like, what was your inspiration and big ideas for the Titans event sales letter? And actually, inside that story selling masterclass, I do a line by line read through, and it took an hour and 45 minutes. And I took notes, and this is the event letter, not the DVD's letter. I took notes and I said, like, here is the inspiration for this line of copy. Here's the inspiration for this line of copy. And I went through and I read a little bit, and then I spoke from my notes, and I read a little bit and I spoke from my notes. And I just taught all the story selling and all the selling principles behind the Titans of Direct Response event letter. And basically what it comes down to is I was looking for the compelling stories. And so it was like, why is this event being put on? Why are these different people involved? Like, why are they choosing for this event to speak about this one particular thing? Why does Brian feel like it's so important for these people to be on the stage? Why does Brian feel like it's so important for you to be in the room? Like, somebody with hundreds of millions of dollars of direct response experience. Like, and I'm just looking for all the stories. And so I spent a lot of time on the phone that summer with Brian, and we talked about, oh, this new speaker has agreed to come on, and here's what they're going to talk about, and yada, yada. Like, went through the whole, here's what they're talking about. Here's why it's important. Here's why I asked them to talk about this particular, here's this entire approach. Here's like how Dan Kennedy got involved with this and how the idea for Titans was born. Here's the backstory of Boardroom and like, why Boardroom valued copywriters and marketers so much, and all of that. And a little bit of that came from my own interest and background and knowledge of the people who were going to be speaking on stage, as well as Boardroom as a company, because I was well aware of them before this. But again, like, so much of it was just, how can I loop together all these stories that support the ultimate outcome of somebody showing up and having their life transformed by Titans. And I know so many people who were there who now are like superstars in direct response, who before that, they were just getting started. And so it's pretty amazing to have been a part of their journey in that way. But I guess back to the initial question. Number one, yes, it's okay to test new ideas. The reality is that when you're testing new ideas, if you're not using a framework like my high velocity copywriting, it is a big level structure of like what you say throughout a sales pitch. And the story selling masterclass is like how you fit stories into all the pieces and how you use those to drive the sale forward and drive the conversation forward. And both of them include things that, exist beyond just the sales letter or the advertisement. So like, you can use stories everywhere. I'm using stories in this video. You can use stories in Facebook ads and emails and everything, right? And you can use the same principles behind high velocity copywriting. And there's even like copy blocks and stuff in that program that are taught. But the whole thing is to like, you are a collector of big ideas. And you can find them in lots of places. You can find them again through research, through interviews, through conversations, through brainstorming different nominalizations and ways to present it. You know, like oftentimes a brainstorming session can be super fruitful in this regard, just sitting down, especially with more than one person, and going back and forth about like, how can we make this feel new or unique or different, or like what's the particular angle that's the most compelling here? What's you know, like how can we make this feel like a brand new idea that we're bringing to the market for the first time? And really, like I said, like there's some work involved with that, but you can tap into things like proven story selling, like proven copywriting, deep psychology and deep structure. And you can recognize that there are going to be some universals, but they don't have to be universal like headline templates and headline formulas and swipe files and all of that, because that stuff very quickly no longer does feel new and unique. That stuff very quickly feels like it's the same old. And one of the worst things that you can have happen to your marketing, to your advertising, to the copy that you've spent weeks or months writing is when your prospect sees it, they say, this looks like something I've seen before. Next. Like it's just, you know, it's like they're just swiping past you. And if you don't bring that new big idea, if you don't bring something unique and special in every message, you really risk that. You risk them just swiping past. My name is Roy Furr. This has been a video issue of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. I'd love it if you'd leave a comment with this video. Let me know on a scale of 1 to 10 how valuable you found this and why. Like, what's your big takeaway? What's your action item? How are you going to write, copy, and approach big ideas differently as a result of this? Also, tap that like button before you go so you get more content like this delivered to you. And so the magical algorithms of the internet will share it with more people like you who will find it valuable. You can certainly share it with directly. And subscribe before you go. Subscribe here. You can also go to breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com, get my daily emails Monday through Friday, including these videos and more exclusive content for email subscribers. And check out the links in the description. Number one, you can ask your own questions. I'll include a link to ask your own questions to have the potential to have them answered in an upcoming video. Also to that high velocity copywriting and story selling masterclass. They're both a part of my BTMS Insiders training library. It's like Netflix for copywriting and marketing training. Pay one fee every month and you get access to everything. Like it's a gigantic library to help you achieve the marketing breakthroughs that you know you're capable of. Again, Roy Furr for Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. I always aim for 10 out of 10 value. Hope that I've delivered it here, and I look forward to seeing you again in your next video issue. See you soon. Bye.